You don't start with a 1,000 horsepower engine. You don't start with pink slips, respect, or a crew backing your name. In a world completely dominated by heavy hitters and trust fund kids with bottomless bank accounts, you start with soaking wet shoes, a $15 police scanner, and absolute terror. Welcome to the underground. You are the corner spotter. You are the ultimate outsider. It's 3 a.m. on a Tuesday. The wind off the concrete overpass is cutting right through your thin hoodie. 50 feet below you, the Syndicate's heavy hitters are lining up for a $100,000 cash race. The air reeks of vaporized E85 fuel and burnt rubber. You aren't a driver to them. You are invisible. You are just the sacrificial lamb they placed on the bridge. Your entire existence tonight is tied to the cracked screen of your phone. You are listening to the scrambled, chaotic static of the municipal police dispatch. If a state patrol interceptor turns onto this avenue, you have exactly 3 seconds to scream "Code Red" into your cheap radio. If your freezing fingers slip, or if you freeze up out of fear, $1 million worth of cars get impounded, and the Syndicate bosses will make sure you take the fall for all of it. You make $150 a night in crumpled bills just to stand in the freezing rain and protect the kings of the street. The flagger drops her hands. The cars launch with the force of a bomb going off. As you watch those taillights vanish into the night grid, your teeth are chattering, but your eyes are completely deadlocked on the road. You aren't thinking about the cold. You're analyzing their launch times. You're memorizing their shift points. They think you're just some broke street kid on a bridge. But they have no idea that they're looking at the one guy who is going to take every single crown they own. This is exactly where your climb begins. Level 2. The Getaway Mule. 6 months have passed. The overpass is behind you. You've traded the freezing rain and the cheap police scanner for a bucket seat and a steering wheel. You are now a getaway mule. You aren't racing for pink slips, trophies, or glory yet. You are the shadow moving the Syndicate's lifeblood. Stolen ECU chips, bricks of untraceable cash from the betting pools, and illegal nitrous kits, all packed into the trunk of a faded 1998 Honda Civic. To the outside world, and to the state troopers drinking coffee on the interstate, you look like a broke college student heading home from a late shift. But they don't know what's under the hood. You spent every single dollar from your spotter payouts building a custom forged engine, hidden beneath a rusted, dented exterior. It's 3:30 a.m. You are hauling a duffel bag packed with $50,000 of cartel-backed race money. The drop-off is only 3 miles away. Suddenly, your rearview mirror flashes a violent red and blue. A highway patrol interceptor is riding your bumper, the high-beam spotlight blinding you through the rear glass. Your hands grip the cracked leather wheel. This is the exact moment that breaks most rookies. Your heart hammers against your ribs, completely drowning out the sound of the rain. If you pull over, you lose the Syndicate's money, and your life is over. You don't pull over. You don't hit the brakes. You drop the clutch, slam the shifter into third gear, and flip the hidden toggle switch wired under the dashboard. Nitrous floods the cylinders. The engine screams like a dying animal as the G-force throws you violently back into your seat. You take a blind off-ramp at 115 miles per hour, flick the handbrake, kill your headlights, and slide the car into a pitch-black industrial alleyway. The sirens scream past you, fading into the distance. You sit in the dark, hands shaking, breathing in the smell of burnt rubber and pure adrenaline. You just made a $3,000 cut and earned the respect of the crew chief. You are officially in the game. Level 3. The Chop Shop Wrench. Driving fast isn't enough to survive the underground. If you don't know how a machine breathes, bleeds, and breaks, you are a liability. You are now a chop shop wrench. You've been pulled off the streets and thrown into a subterranean 8-bay warehouse hidden behind a fake commercial towing company. Sunlight never touches this room. Your life is now defined by the toxic smell of vaporized E85 fuel, burnt transmission fluid, and hot, melting steel. When Syndicate drivers wreck their vehicles, or when a stolen $150,000 sports car rolls in at 2 a.m., your team goes to work. In less than 45 minutes, you can completely strip a brand new BMW M4 down to its bare unibody frame. You spend your nights grinding off vehicle identification numbers, ripping out factory GPS trackers before the cops can ping them, and fabricating custom twin-turbo kits from scratch. You are learning how to squeeze an extra 200 horsepower out of factory engines using encrypted software flashes. You are making $6,000 a month in untaxed cash. But the stress is suffocating. Every time a heavy truck drives over the street grating above you, your stomach drops. You work 16-hour shifts under the constant, heavy threat of a federal SWAT raid. If that metal door kicks in, you aren't just losing your job, you're facing a 15-year sentence in a federal penitentiary. But you aren't just doing this for the cash. Every night, when the crew chief goes home, you stay behind. You are secretly scavenging the leftover parts, a turbocharger here, a forged piston there. You are building your own monster in the corner of the shop. Because you aren't planning on being a mechanic forever. You are building your ticket to the starting line. The grease under your fingernails is permanent now. But that rusted chassis you were hiding in the corner of the chop shop? It's finally alive. You are a street runner. You aren't just a mechanic anymore. You are a driver. You roll into the midnight industrial district. The air is thick with tire smoke and heavy bass. You're driving a wide-body, single-turbo monster. It doesn't have a flashy million-dollar paint job. Half the panels are raw carbon and gray primer. There are no leather seats, no air conditioning, no radio. Just a steel roll cage, a bucket seat, and 700 horsepower. The trust fund kids in their daddy's Porsches laugh as you pull up to the staging line. They look at your cheap hoodie and your mismatched car, and they think you're just another broke street kid who watched too many movies. But they didn't build their cars. You built every single bolt on yours. The buy-in is $1,000. It is every single dollar you saved from sweating in the chop shop. You line up against a pristine, supercharged V8 muscle car. The crowd presses in close. There are no barricades here, just a tunnel of screaming people. The flagger steps between the headlights. She raises her hands. The V8 next to you revs, trying to intimidate you. You don't look at him. You just stare dead ahead into the dark street. You hit the launch control button on your steering wheel. Your turbo spools, popping violent blue flames out of the hood exit exhaust. She drops her hands. You dump the heavy clutch. The rear tires violently fight for grip on the cold, untreated asphalt. The G-force slams your helmet back into the seat. At 110 miles per hour, your car gets loose, the rear end sliding dangerously close to a concrete barrier. Most rookies would lift off the gas. You don't lift. You wrestle the wheel, bang third gear, and cross the finish line by a full car length. You take their cash. The laughing stops. The local group chats blow up with your name. The syndicate bosses are finally looking at you. You are officially on the ladder. Local street meets were just a stepping stone. Beating up on trust fund kids for $1,000 won't buy you a seat at the syndicate's main table. You need more speed. You need real money. You are a no-prep drag racer. This is the deadliest discipline in the underground. You aren't racing on flat, sticky track surfaces. You are racing on cold, cracked, abandoned airstrips and closed-off industrial highways covered in dust. Your machine has evolved. You are now strapped into a completely stripped, twin-turbo V8 monster pushing over 1,200 horsepower. There is no passenger seat. There is no dashboard. Your engine runs on methanol, a fuel so volatile that a single broken fuel line will instantly ignite a fireball you can't even see. It is 4 a.m. You are staging against a rival cruise champion. A heavy duffel bag containing $25,000 in physical cash sits between the lanes. The flagger steps away. You grip the steering wheel and hit the trans brake. The engine screams against the rev limiter, shaking your vision so violently you can barely see the finish line. The flashlight drops. You release the button. The G-force is brutal. It feels like a sledgehammer hitting your chest, burying you deep into the carbon fiber seat. At 140 miles per hour, your massive rear slicks brake traction on the dusty asphalt. The car violently sways to the right, heading straight for the tree line. This is where the amateurs die. But you don't panic. You feather the throttle, wrestle the steering wheel, and force the beast straight. You cross the finish line by half a car length and pull the parachute release. You take home $25,000 in a single night. You are a local legend now. But as your heart pounds against your ribs, you realize the brutal truth. At this level, one single mistake doesn't earn you a ticket. It earns you an obituary. Surviving the driver's seat is a miracle. But if you want to rule the underground, you have to realize that driving is a young man's game. The real power is in controlling the board. You are the crew chief. You no longer risk your own blood on the asphalt every night. You've taken your winnings and built a team. You now manage a squad of 4 elite drivers, 6 chop shop mechanics, and a dozen spotters. You are the undisputed brain behind the horsepower. Before a race night even begins, you are hacking into municipal weather stations. You analyze ambient air temperatures, humidity levels, and road surface conditions to calibrate the perfect fuel maps on your drivers' laptops. During the high-stakes meets, you stand right at the starting line. While everyone else is screaming and placing bets, you are shooting the pavement with a thermal gun. You radio your driver. Surface is freezing. Drop tire pressure by 2 psi and short shift second gear, or you'll spin out. You negotiate the wager amounts. You hold the escrow. And most importantly, you take a massive 25% cut of every single victory your team brings home, pulling in over $30,000 a weekend. But with absolute power comes absolute responsibility. If one of your drivers crashes, it's on you to coordinate the cleanup crew before the paramedics arrive. If a driver loses their cool and gets arrested, you are the one paying the corrupt bail bondsman before they can talk to the feds. You aren't just a car guy anymore. You are running a highly illegal, highly profitable enterprise. You are a boss. Running the local streets as a crew chief makes you rich. But when international cartels, foreign diplomats, and untouchable billionaires come to your city looking to gamble, you can't trust your drivers to defend your territory. You have to get back behind the wheel. You are a highway outlaw. Straight-line drag racing is child's play now. You have entered the 200-mile-per-hour club. You pilot a fully built, twin-turbo exotic pushing 1,800 horsepower. You don't hide in alleyways anymore. You counter high-speed police interceptors with military-grade radar detectors, infrared night vision cameras, and active laser jammers. To the cops, your car is just a ghost on the highway. You participate in midnight cannonball-style sprints across state lines and brutal, high-stakes tush battles on narrow mountain passes. The buy-in for these races isn't $1,000. It's $100,000 per run. It's 2 a.m. on a cliffside mountain road. There are no guardrails. You are running bumper to bumper with a ruthless rival syndicate boss. You are hitting 130 miles per hour on a road meant for 40. Your carbon ceramic brakes are glowing red hot. They are starting to fade. As you approach a blind, razor-sharp hairpin turn, the rival driver doesn't brake. He violently rams your rear bumper, trying to push you off the 500-foot cliff. Your car loses traction. The rear end snaps out. The abyss is staring right at you. Time slows down. You don't hit the brakes. You execute a flawless heel-toe downshift, floor the gas, and drift the hypercar through the corner. Your rear tires hang inches over the edge of the cliff, kicking gravel into the void. You pull out of the slide, drop him in your rearview mirror, and take his $100,000. You survive tonight. But at level 7, death is no longer a possibility. It is a passenger sitting right next to you. You have survived the chop shops. You have survived the mountain passes. And you have finally realized the ultimate truth of the underground. The real wealth isn't made behind the steering wheel. It's made by controlling the money that makes the wheels turn. You are the Syndicate Matchmaker. You have stepped out of the driver's seat permanently. You now operate entirely in the shadows, running a multi-state gambling empire using encrypted channels and untraceable offshore servers. You set the odds for the biggest grudge matches in the country. Private gamblers, cartel bosses, and wealthy investors tune into password-protected live streams, broadcast by your fleet of stealth drones hovering over secret race courses. You hold tens of millions of dollars in Monero and Bitcoin in automated escrow accounts. When a massive race needs to happen, you don't go looking for an empty street. You pull out a burner phone and bribe corrupt transportation officials to redirect state police patrols away from specific highway stretches for a 2-hour window. You earn a 15% fee on every single wager placed. You are pulling in over $150,000 a week without ever touching a steering wheel or smelling burnt rubber. You live in a multi-million-dollar luxury penthouse in the sky, completely insulated from the grit, the oil, and the danger of the streets below. But true power comes with terrifying paranoia. Your enemy is no longer a concrete barrier or a blown tire. Your enemies are federal wiretaps, RICO indictments, and rival syndicates putting massive bounties on your head. You control the streets, but you sleep with a loaded gun on your nightstand, knowing that one hacked server will bring your entire empire crashing down. The police stopped looking for you years ago. The federal agencies consider you a ghost. The streets that birthed you are nothing more than a memory. You are the international ringmaster. You no longer control a city. You control the globe. You orchestrate billion-dollar, invite-only racing tournaments. But these races don't happen on public highways or abandoned airstrips. They happen on private islands you bought in cash. They happen on cordoned-off streets in sovereign nations where you have the prime minister on your payroll. Your clientele isn't local syndicates anymore. You are rubbing shoulders with international oligarchs, royal families, and shadow billionaires. They ship custom-built, $5 million hypercars across oceans in private cargo planes just to compete in your arena. You don't take a percentage of the bets. You own the entire bank. Your wealth is no longer measured in duffel bags of dirty cash. It is measured in shell companies, offshore accounts, and political influence. You started on a freezing, rain-soaked overpass with a $15 radio, shaking in fear. Now, you watch the world's most dangerous men risk their lives for your entertainment from the deck of a $100 million superyacht anchored in international waters. You are untouchable. You are the absolute peak of the underground. You didn't just climb the ladder. You burned it down behind you so no one could ever follow. You are the king, and the streets belong to you forever.